what's happening, everybody? This is DJ Still Do again with another episode of Record Crates and Rabbit Holes. Thanks for tuning in with my living room here. I decided to go ahead. I just did a episode a second ago. I'm taking a break from cleaning my house and decided to go ahead and do one more before I get back to it and the sun goes down. This right here, which I'm holding, is a old issue of a Doors compilation album called Weird Scenes Through the Gold Mine. That's a line from the last track on their first album, self-titled, The Doors. The track is called The End. And anyway, this is really cool. It's got photos. It's got a nice write-up about right where this band fit in the times of, you know, the mid-late 60s into the early 70s and things that were going on and how influential they were, especially with their sound. And I like to always talk about how talented the Doors, which would be, you know, Robbie Krieger, you've got Ray Manzarek, and then John Densmore as the drummer. They were such powerhouse musicians to go ahead and match the front man, Jim Morrison, and his whole stage presence and his energy and kind of his rebelliousness and that's what most people gather and capture, but without the three musicians behind Jim Morrison, he wasn't shit. And I really back that up because Robbie Krieger killed on blues guitar, and all three of the musicians in this band were jazz musicians who were pushing rock fusion, jazz musicians who were pushing jazz fusion, blues. They were able to really capture kind of the psychedelic atmosphere that Jim Morrison's lyrics created, and that's why they all really played an equal part. I mean, when you listen to John Densmore's drumming, he's always in the pocket. He's always, even when he fills or does anything, it's real tight, it's complex, it's clean. They were very talented musicians. You hear stories about Ray Manzarek, you know, when they go on the Amsterdam tour and Jim Morrison takes too many drugs, and the set one night ends up being played with Ray Manzarek playing bass keyboard, lead keyboard, and singing not only the lyrics of Jim Morrison, but in his melody, in his vocal tone. These guys were amazing, and I don't mean to be super fanboy about it because there's times where I've gotten, you know, tired. Jim Morrison's lyrics mood can get tired if you're not in the mood. But if you go ahead and, again, like I'm saying, if you really pay attention to the music that these guys made, it was really, really good. And it was really groundbreaking for the time. And that's how moods get set so easily, especially when you listen to Strange Days, you know, versus their first album, which had a lot more singles and radio hits, but at the same time, it still had their feel, and they were always good about ending the last song on like a real wild kind of ride that finished, you know, and it originally being on the medium of vinyl, it was very fitting. And so back to this album, Weird Scenes Inside the Gold Mine. This is a double LP put together with some of the greatest songs off of all their albums and not necessarily all the radio hits. And the way that this was arranged is the key to why this is such a fun album to play, because each side in the double LP starts off with a real strong kind of hit opener, and then each end of each side has you know, one of the ending tracks from an album. So, you know, the first side starts with Break On Through, then it ends with End of the Night. End of the Night was I believe the last track on side A of their first album, so it has the side ender. Then the next one starts off with Lover Madly. Lover Madly was on Morrison Hotel, and it was a real great radio hit, so it has that punch right out when you drop the needle. And then was The End, which was the last song on side B of their first album. And then you come down, you know, side 3 starts with Take It As It Comes. A lot of people have heard like the Ricky Martin cover of that, and then at the end it goes down to You Don't Go No Further. And the truth is, I don't really remember that one. which means it has to be on Soft Parade, which is the one I've listened to the least. But there's a couple songs on here from Soft Parade that I love, and like side 4 starts with Riders on the Storm, which is really cool, and then ends with The Music's Over. And so this has got some heavy hitters that you are familiar with, but then it's also got like Running Blue is an underrated track that's on here. Maggie McGill. It's got Horse Latitudes, which is a complete just a cappella type of poem with all kinds of fittingly bizarre soundscape type of material, organ and some other stuff. And I like to play with that one and throw it over another beat that I use from Mr. Lynn. But anyway, it's got it's got Ship of Fools, Spanish Caravan, which I'm a huge fan of, The Wasp, Texas Radio, and the Big Beat. It's got Peace Frog and Blue Sunday together, Love Street, Shaman's Blues, which is another kind of B-side that you hear on, I believe that's Morrison Hotel. Anyway, this thing is all over the place. It's great. Elektra Records, 1972. Weird Scenes Inside the Gold Mines. Cool artwork. Great write-up that talks about what a unique band they were and how they kind of played such a memorable part in rock and roll. And again, this is just another one I saw, and I'm not a huge fan of the compilation albums. I like to go ahead and get the Doors albums the way they originally came, but this one has a really fun, special mood, and if you are a Doors fan, you can just count on every song on here being great, and the whole flow of it, it was just really well put together and composed. And again, who cares if it's the greatest hits? This one has got all the cool hits wrapped up, really capturing the mood of the band and how they like to make kind of a mini ride on each side of the album. And I always like bands that do that because you don't have to try and skip. And so anyway, you've got the Doors, Weird Scenes Inside the Gold Mine, double LP. Love it. Wouldn't plan on selling it. Might even think about looking for a second copy of the album so I can play the crap out of this one. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Record Crates and Rabbit Holes, DJ Still Do. We're making more episodes all the time. Got tons of stuff to pull up in here. So go ahead and keep checking back. Thank you.